Howdy. I have a new build guide here. I wanted to show off an interesting mechanic that I found. I'm not sure if anyone else is doing it, but it's using the Tectonic Slam of Cataclysm. So what this does is it gives you, as you can see there, more damage per endurance charge removed, more AoE per endurance charge removed, and fissure branching chance per endurance charge removed. And then, so when you slam, it does a big slam depending on how many endurance charges you have. It consumes those endurance charges, and then it gives you a bunch of bonuses based off of those endurance charges. So what a lot of people are doing with this is going General's Cry, and then kind of snapshotting it with the little minions you get from General's Cry, going War Cries. I didn't like that. I don't really like messing around with War Cries. I've never tried General's Cry. I just didn't really feel like doing that. So I wanted to find different ways to kind of snapshot that and get that same mechanic in play, but not have to mess around with War Cries. So what I landed on was a strength stacking replica Oberon's build with Savior and Paradoxica. So I'm going to explain kind of how the build works a little bit, how we scale damage, and then I'm going to show a couple different variants that I'm going to be working on here in the next couple days. So the first thing, Replica Oberon's Mage Blood is just for reses. This is not required at all. You can just run a Strength Belt or something else. The Malagaros is for the multi because we need to crit to proc the Savior. And then the crit multi is kind of hard to find, so this is just best in slot, I think, with the Despair on it. And then these two rings are very important. So the most important mod on this is the +1 to maximum endurance charges. That gives you more endurance charges to consume and gives you a bunch of damage. The 15% chance that if you would gain endurance charges, you instead get up to your maximum endurance charges. This is probably the second most important mod, and it's very close. The endurance charge on kill is just kind of comfy, but if you're going to buy one of these, buy the second and third one on this, the maximum and the chance to gain. With two of those, we get up to 30% from this, and then we get 25% from Juggernaut Ascendancy right here. So that puts us at 55% chance. So what happens is every time we gain an endurance charge, we could gain up to 9, which is our maximum. And with a couple other things that we do, we're pretty much always at max endurance charges, and we're always getting max endurance charges. So it makes it a lot comfier to keep those up. And then Savior, this procs a little reflection that does your skill. So that's what we're using to snapshot. So basically we just attack every few seconds and proc these guys, and then we keep our max endurance charges. And then the reflections, the copies of us, will scale off of the endurance charges without consuming them. So that's kind of the whole point of the build. And then Paradoxica is just there for damage. So one hit is going to do not as much damage. One hit's going to do a bunch of damage. And then that's kind of how the build plays. So I'll show a map after this. Eyes of the Great Wolf is just there for attributes. I think like a percent attributes, flat attributes. Like there's better amulets than this. This was just quick and easy. This was like 3 or 4 divines. So I just snagged this real quick. Crown of Eyes, if you've never played a strength stacker before, the last line on here is pretty much all we get this for. Increases and reductions to spell damage, also apply to attacks at 150% of the value. So all that does is we take Iron Will, which gives the strength. We have 1800 strength, I think, yeah. And that applies to spell damage. And then we take that spell damage and apply it to attack damage at 150% of its value. So a lot of damage from this. Plus we get some spell damage from our cluster down here. We have one of these really nice clusters with increased effect, strength, and spell damage on it. So that's just how we scale some extra damage there. And then that's all this gear here. The tree is pretty self-explanatory. For charms, I went with flat strength and int and AoE per endurance charge on all these just to get a bunch of AoE and see how big it could get. We do get some AoE per endurance charge on the Ascendancy. This one I'm the least sure about. This one obviously is required basically for strength stacking. This one's nice for maximum. This is probably like the most flexible one, and this one's by far the most flexible one. So these two you could move around to something else if you wanted to get the stun and freeze immune for comfort. But these two are probably the most important to take. This one just gives endurance charges, and again, that 25% chance that if you would gain endurance charges, you get your maximum back. And so I took these 4. And then tree is very standard strength stacking. The only thing that might seem a little bit odd is the skill effect duration here. I took the increased skill effect duration, as well as in the Savior, I have an efficacy, which gives skill effect duration. I have an increased duration support, which gives skill effect duration. Socketing it in the weapon gives it to the reflections, so instead of lasting their base 10-second time, they last like, I don't know, 25, 30 seconds, whatever. It just makes the build a lot more comfy. And I kind of repathed my tree to go up here and take this node up here. So that's a quick overview of the build. I think that's everything. You just stack strength, stack spell damage, and go bonk stuff. So I'm going to go show, the last thing is this Deirdre's Elixir here. You gain 3 power charges, frenzy charges, and endurance charges when you use it, which is nice. This with Blood Rage will keep you at full endurance charges while you're mapping. The other thing it does is it counts as a hit towards you. So that removes 80% of your max CS and take 50% of your max life as chaos damage on use. That counts as a hit. So if you don't, so I got the maximum there. It's a 50-50 chance basically we get that. But if I don't, because of the Juggernaut's this one, Unflinching. Gain 1 endurance charge every second if you've been hit recently. It basically starts that off. So if your reflections are killing everything really quickly, then you're not really getting hit a lot. So that's kind of a way to like proc it and keep that running in the background. So either you're killing stuff and you're not getting hit, so you probably have flash charges to hit, or you're not killing stuff and then stuff is hitting you. So either way, you're kind of always at maximum, or you always have been hit recently and you're gaining endurance charges. The only other, like, this stuff's kind of just comfort, but I ran with the Valicos, which is the maximum modifiers to max fire res applied to max cold and lightning res as well. So I got that Flesh and Flamed here. And then this one, the Chaos res, Purity of Elements, this is not required. It just makes it comfy for Chaos res, because this does take Chaos damage, so it can do a lot more damage. And pretty much the only thing we're weak to on this build is Chaos damage, because we have endurance charges, we have armor, and we have 80 all max res because of Purity of Fire and the Valicos. So this is by far like not pushed at all. This is just like kind of the second iteration I've done. I'll go show it off in a map real quick. Strand, Arid Lake's a cool map. I was trying to find a Strand, couldn't find one. Is a cool map to show it off in, so I'll show how the build plays. It's kind of weird though. I'm not really sure how dual wielding works, but what I do is I run and I just kind of right click to make sure I only hit with my main hand, and then make sure that one crits, and then try to keep my charges up. So you just kind of run, bonk, and see, this is me with 0 endurance charges. We get very little AoE. So I'll get my endurance charges up, and then I'll bonk. And you see in the top left there, I haven't procced my guys yet. I'm like not critting at all. It's so weird. This is a little bit scary. Okay. Usually they proc a little bit faster. There we go. Okay, so now the reflections are up. So now I pop my thing to keep my endurance charges up, and now they're getting all the benefits of the massive AoE and damage without having to without consuming the charges. So I'm going up here, and so now what I do now is I keep my endurance charges up, and I bonk to make sure my guys stay up, because as you can see, it took a couple times to crit. My crit chance is not capped or anywhere near capped, so I just kind of run with them and bonk. They're a little slower than I am, because they don't inherit my Mage Blood Flasks benefits. So you just run, and so they're down now. So I'm gonna... Usually what I'll do is I'll find a rare mob, and then I'll just sit there and keep attacking, and hopefully I don't do enough damage to kill it, and it'll crit. This is how the build plays. So the goal, name of the game is just keeping your endurance charges up. Try to see, I just consumed them, and now they're back up again because I popped my flask. And it's kind of just a comfort thing. You just kind of get a feel for like, oh, I haven't, haven't crit anything in a while, hit anything in a while. I should probably hit like so rare over here. I'll bonk to try to keep my reflections up. More crit chance in this build definitely would feel a lot more comfier. As you can see, I had kind of a hard time starting up at the beginning of the map. Usually that was kind of an outlier though. Usually it's a lot better than that. But yeah, this is how the build plays. You just kind of run around, and they run behind you and make a big floor of fire, and everything dies. So that's how this one plays. The only thing I wanted to show off, like, yeah, right there. Oof. That looks so cool. The only other thing I wanted to show off, and I think I'm going to switch over to this and try to make this work, is Earthbreaker. So Earthbreaker does the same thing. It basically turns your melee skill into a totem. So pop out multi-strike, I guess, for this. And I haven't really tried it out a ton yet. Let's see, Burial. I'll try my barrel with this, but it does snapshot, and it does, yeah, it does snapshot, and it does not consume your charges, and you don't have to like hit yourself. So with this, what I'd probably do is just run the Paradoxica, drop the Savior. So I'll just actually drop this right now, and ideally you'd have a +1 endurance charge implicit shield here. They're not very expensive, so I'll just show off that it does work. So I have full endurance charges, and he is getting the big slams as if he's consuming all the endurance charges, but he's not actually consuming them. So just big slams, and yeah. This is probably the way that I'm heading. It's a little bit slower. It's not as cool as like the multi-striked ones where it's like a giant, like, I think visually that other one with the Savior looks a lot cooler, but I think this is fine too. Ah, I died. Okay. Rip. But yeah, so I want to try the totems out. I'm going to be playing with that next. I'll make an updated video if it ends up being a lot better and a lot comfier. I see it going that way, but we shall see. So anyways, if you have any questions about it, I'm probably going to be streaming this build the next couple days. So if you guys want to hop into stream and check and ask questions and check that out, how the totems are going, you can do that. But if you have any questions, also YouTube comments, I'm pretty responsive there. If you guys end up playing this build and want like you're getting stuck somewhere, let me know. But thanks for watching. Bye.